Hello guys, and welcome back to Coloring with Haley. Today we are coloring out of Kawaii Animals by Coco Wayo, and we are also doing a tag. I mentioned in my last color in chat that if you tagged me in something during the month of March, kind of late March through April to early May, I may not have seen it, or I saw it and forgot about it because I was just super busy. And I did have a tag. If anyone else tagged me in anything, just let me know. This tag is the This or That Too tag, and Michelle from Kits and Caboodles tagged me in this one. And there are 20 questions. Well, 21 because there's a bonus. But let's get into it. So the first question is coloring in bed or coloring at a desk. Always prefer coloring at a desk. I can't really color in bed very well. Question 2 is Crayola supertips or staedler markers. I like my staedler markers more. The staedler markers that I have, I believe, are alcohol-based, and I always prefer alcohol markers over water-based markers. The third question is Eriy's Romantic Country series or her Tracing series. I don't own any of Eriy's books, but I have seen plenty of flip-throughs of them on YouTube and everywhere else, and I definitely prefer the Romantic Country. I think the Tracing series is really cool. I believe that the artist does it with toothpicks, right? She uses paint and toothpicks. And I think that's really cool, but the lines are just too thin for my taste. In the flip-throughs on YouTube, it's sort of hard to even see what's going on in the book. It probably looks a lot better in person. 4 is Sachin Sachdeva color by number books or Color Questopia color by number books. I actually don't own any of the Color Questopia color by number books, so that makes this pretty easy. I would say the Sachin Sachdeva books. I think Color Questopia redid some of their books. They did have a really big color palette for a while there, but I think I saw on Instagram or maybe their Facebook that they changed that. So it's a little bit smaller now, which is better because that's one of the things I like about Sachin Sachdeva's books. At most, I think it's like 21 colors, but some of them have as few as 12. So you don't have to have a big set of markers to color in them. They're really great for the Sharpies or Bic marking markers, since it's a really small color palette. And 5 is Hannah Lynn's simple version of the page or more detailed version of the page. This is one that I don't really have a solid answer for. It sort of just depends on the day, I guess, and really how much detail is on the detailed page and what that detail is. If you know that I've been going through that Hannah Lynn's Whimsy Girls Celebrate the Holidays and Other Festive Occasions, I think is the full name of the book. It's quite a mouthful. I've been doing some of the difficult pages and some of the simple ones. It just depends. I did the Mother's Day one for this month. I did the simple one because the more intricate one had a lot of patterns on it. Like it's a picture of a woman in bed with her kids, and the bed had a lot of patterns on it, and so did the pillows and stuff, and I'm not like a pattern person, so I did the simple version for that, for example. But some of them are considered more difficult because they have like more people in them, for example. I was looking at the ones coming up for next month, and one of them is graduation, and the more difficult graduation one has more people in it compared to the simpler one. And for that one, I would probably do the more difficult one because it's not patterns, it's just more people. This is kind of one where I don't really have a solid answer. It depends on the day. Sometimes I'm really tired and I don't want to do the more difficult one, and sometimes it just depends on the amount of detail that's in the more difficult one. If it's a lot of patterns, I'm probably not going to do it because I'm not really a pattern person. Alright, so number 6 is coloring animals or coloring people. Coloring people for sure. I am coloring animals in this video, and I don't color animals too often. Definitely not realistically. I like these cuter chibi style animal pictures, definitely not the realistic ones. The only realistic animal pages that I think I've colored would be out of the magazines that are color by number. What are they called? The Mystery Colors magazines? Yeah, that's what they are. I have a couple of the animal ones from that, and I've done some pages in those, and those turn out really detailed and really realistic. But those would be the only realistic animals I've ever colored. I definitely prefer the cutesy chibi style ones. And I don't have too many animal coloring books. For example, I don't have any of Jade Summer's animal coloring books, despite having so many Jade Summer books. Just animals aren't exactly my thing. Definitely prefer to do people and, like, specifically portraits. I prefer nice portrait pictures rather than like a picture that's more in action. So, number 7 is plan your colors in advance or wing it. If you've seen any of my previous color and chats, you know that I just wing it. I never really have anything in mind when I look at a page. I just pick my colors and go with it. So for example, this page, looking at the cow, I knew I wanted the cow to be in black and white because those are kind of the colors you think of when you see a cow, but for the rest of the page, I didn't really have any idea what I wanted to do with it. I knew that I wanted to do some outlining on this one where I outlined the lighter colors with darker colors, but that's it. I don't really have anything in my mind when I look at a page. I just color it, and maybe I've seen something that day that influenced how I colored it, but usually it's just me winging it. I just pick my colors and go for it, you know? Sometimes I'll do this, like for example with people, I'll do the skin tone first, and then I'll maybe base the other colors around that. If I do a lighter skin tone, then I'll probably pick darker colors. If I do a darker skin tone, then I'll probably pick lighter colors for the picture. Really just depends how I'm feeling that day, you know? I just wing it with that. 8 is straight coloring or blended coloring. I prefer straight coloring. I don't really even do any blending at all, especially because I mostly color on the Amazon paper books, and you can't really do blending on those. The most I'll do is a little bit of blending in the Stephanie A. Quinn books, like the Sci-Fi Babes book. It's a little bit grayscaled, and you can tell where she wants the highlights and lowlights to go in that. And so I'll use my Copic markers in that book specifically and do just a little bit of blending, but because it is Amazon paper, you know, it doesn't blend very well. But otherwise, just straight coloring, or you'll see what I'm doing here where I outline the lighter colors in a darker color. I don't really know what you want to call that. It's not exactly blending, and it's not exactly doing any type of shading either. So whatever you want to call that, straight coloring and kind of a combination of that. Number 9 is color by number or color by color. This is another one that I don't really have a solid answer for. It kind of depends, again, on the day and my mood. A lot of my color by number books, I like color by numbers, but I usually use them when I'm like, I don't really feel like coloring today. You know? The color by numbers are a little different for me, especially the ones that are like the mosaic ones or the quirkles where you can't really see the picture yet. You have to color it in to see it. I think of it differently if I'm not in a mood to color. It's more like doing a puzzle, right? In my head almost. So it just depends on the day. Some days I'm like, yeah, let's color. So then I'm going to do, a regular color by color type picture. And other days I'm like, man, I don't really feel like coloring, but I want something to distract me. And with a color by number picture, you don't really have to think about it so much. You just put the colors down, especially on the ones that aren't even an image until you color them. They're like a mystery. So that one just depends on the day. Number 10 is alcohol markers or Sharpies / permanent markers. I would say alcohol markers. I do use Sharpies and Bic marking markers a lot, especially in color by number pictures. I don't know why, but I really just like doing color by numbers with the Sharpie sets and the Bic marking sets. Well, I think they're called Bic Intensity now, right? They changed the name on me. I've got like 3 packs, and I think 2 of them are Bic marking and one's Bic Intensity, so I think the Intensity is the new name. I usually use alcohol markers, though, on everything else. I don't get out my Bics unless there's some sort of like little teeny tiny fine detail in a picture, because I do have like the ultra fine tip Bic markers, and they can really get down in there and kind of do something really, really small. Whereas like, the Cali Art markers or the Ohuhu markers are a little bit big for a space like that. So I would say the alcohol markers. Coloring images realistically or wacky colors. Wacky colors for me, definitely. I'll do skin tones for people, especially if I'm doing a portrait realistically, but I'll go crazy with the hair and the makeup and everything else. I like to make them bright and colorful, especially in the Sci-Fi Babes book and the Chibi Girls by Jade Summer that I color in pretty much every month. I like to do those with like bright, wacky colors. I just keep the skin tone realistic, and that's it. Coloring while listening to a podcast, music, or audiobook. Music. I like to color mostly in silence. I think that's a weird one. I know a lot of people like to watch TV, or they watch color alongs on YouTube like this, or they watch color in chats, or they watch a tutorial. I don't do that. I like to just color in silence mostly. I can't, because it's like too many things to concentrate on. I'm going to be concentrating on like the TV show or the YouTube video that I'm watching more than what I'm coloring, and I'm going to mess up, or I'm going to forget that I'm even coloring it, and I'm just going to sit there with like an open marker in my hand until it dries out. So if I do anything, I will sometimes listen to music on my Spotify occasionally. But then again, I like get too into the music and too focused on what's going on in the song and forget that I'm coloring. So typically I would set in silence, but if I had to pick out of any of those, it would definitely be the music. And Kerby Rosannes' Worlds Within Worlds, or Fragile World. I have a couple of Kerby's older books, like his first two, I think, and I decided that they weren't really for me, even though I do like his art. He's a really good artist. It's just not for me to color personally. But I would have to definitely pick the Fragile World one. As someone that is a biology student, I obviously care a great deal about conservation. And I know that his Fragile World book includes only like endangered animals. And I think that it's a really good thing what he's trying to do there, since he's an amazing artist and people love his art. He's using his style to promote awareness for these endangered animals. And I'm sure some of you guys have never heard of any of the animals, because I've seen some flip-throughs of the book, and he made some really good choices, I think. He made some choices of animals that you would never think twice about, or animals that you've never even heard of. So I appreciate what he's trying to do with the Fragile Worlds book to bring awareness to the endangered animals. So that's definitely my choice. 14 is Kamiliya Angelkova's Mandalas, or Miniature Series. This one's easy, the Miniature Series. You guys have seen me color out of those a lot. I know I'm an odd one out, but I always say it. Mandalas aren't my thing. I think it's because I don't like patterns, and the mandalas are kind of just a big circular pattern. So 15 is Buddy Color, or Color on Your Own. I like both of them, honestly. A buddy color sometimes gets me to color a page that I never would have chosen before, or color in a book that I have just sitting on my shelf and maybe I've forgotten about it, but someone saw me do a flip through of it and they were like, hey, let's buddy color in this. And I was like, oh, I forgot that I've even had that book sitting around, you know? Or it's a book that I've coloring in and there's a few pages that I'm like, I don't really know if I would color that or not, you know? But the buddy chooses that page. So I think the buddy coloring is a good way to get into some of your books that maybe you're not coloring in, or doing pages that you wouldn't do before, and sometimes it can teach you something new. So I think I would probably pick buddy coloring on this one. I do some each month. You can message me anytime on Instagram or leave a comment on any of my YouTube videos if you want to do a buddy color. Just let me know. Especially now that it's summertime and I'm free, it won't take me very long to get back to you. When I was in school, it would take me a couple of days to get one done, but it'll probably take me a night or two because I like to color at night. But I would say buddy colors more than coloring on your own, just because it can open you up to new things, you know? Trying a new artist or buying from an old favorite. I like buying new books on Amazon that I haven't seen anyone do flip-throughs of. I like looking for weird and unique books that I've never seen before on YouTube, and I like going for those. Sometimes it's a risk, obviously. Sometimes you get in a book that it's just not good, or it's stolen artwork or something like that, and you need to return it to Amazon and let them know. Other times, it works out really, really well. Like with the Coco Wyo books, I had never seen the Cupcakes or Chibi Girls flip-throughs before, so I just went in and bought them. I've got a book coming in next week that I've never seen anyone do a flip-through of, and I didn't have any pictures up on Amazon. Took a risk with it, but I'm excited for it to come in, and we'll see if it's a good book that's going to be worth it. Obviously, buying from old favorites like Deborah Muller. I know all of Deborah Muller's books are going to be good, and I always buy her books, and anytime Jade Summer does something in grayscale, I know I'm going to buy it. But I think buying from a new artist, it's showed me artists that are really great, like the Stephanie A. Quinn. That was a risk when I bought her Sci-Fi Babes book, and it turned out to be one of my favorite books. You see me color in it pretty much every month. So I think buying from new artists, even though it's a risk, it's definitely worth it. Colorful or neutral color palette. I like to do colorful ones. I like to try and get as many colors in a picture as I can, even if, like I said earlier, they're wacky colors, not really realistic. I don't usually do neutral color palettes unless it's like a color by number and it's telling me to do a neutral color palette. Or sometimes in like the Quirkles or the Pick 3 one by Belba Family, I think is who does those, where you pick 3 colors. Sometimes I'll do a neutral color palette for those because it just looks a little bit better, but usually I do something really colorful. Typically color a page in one setting or work on it little by little. It's hard for me to do a page in one setting. Right now my office chair is like really uncomfortable. I think it's 10 years old, so I need to get a new one, and that would definitely help me be able to do things in one setting. But also after a while my hands kind of start to hurt. This picture that I'm coloring right now I did do in one setting because it was kind of a simpler picture. But most every picture takes me at least 2 or 3 settings working on it. Usually about 45 minutes to an hour each night before bed. That's what I do to relax before bed, is I color. So I would say more often than not, pictures take me a while to complete. Color while watching TV or color while watching YouTube? I would say YouTube, just because there is not a TV up here that's hooked to cable. So I would have to use YouTube no matter what. And 20 is color by number pixel/mosaics or standard color by number. I'm a fan of the pixel and mosaic color by numbers more so than the standard ones, though I do have a bunch of standard color by number books. I just like the surprise and mystery of the pixel ones, and especially some of them, like the Sun Life drawing mosaics, those turn out really well. Sachin Sachdeva's pixel ones turn out really well. Some of them look really cool when they're done, you know. Some people are able to, when they create them, the artists are able to do really cool things, I think, with the shading pixel by pixel to make a really realistic image in the end. And then there's a bonus question. If you had to only use one coloring supply for the rest of your life, what would it be and why? For me, it would obviously be alcohol markers. I can at least use those on pretty much everything. And if I had to pick a brand, I would probably pick the CaliArt markers. Because the set of CaliArt markers I have now, I've had for 4 years. And they're still going strong. I think I've lost maybe like 2 or 3 colors out of it, and that's it. So I would definitely pick my CaliArt markers because they're going to last me a long time, and I could use them on everything. And now you guys know that I'm kind of shy about tagging people because I don't want to feel bothersome. So anyone that wants to do this or that round 2 tag that sees this video, feel free to say that I tagged you in it. And we are almost done with this picture. I was able to get through that in time. I was a little bit worried that I wasn't going to. I'm putting just a little bit of the Sparkle Pop gel pens on the page now for some glitter, and you've probably seen me struggle with my backing paper on this page. For whatever reason, it wanted to keep sliding out from under me. So I've already got a tablecloth for June picked out, by the way, for summer, and I'm excited to get a setup for summer. As soon as it hits June, I'm going into summer. I know it's a little bit early, but I'm ready for it. So this was a really fun page to do, by the way. I really enjoyed this one. These Coco Wyo books, I'm just going crazy for them. I already ordered another one. They put out a new one that's called Cute Stuff. It'll be here next week with that other book I ordered. Like, as soon as I saw it, I had to have it. I'm just obsessed with these books. I don't know who the artist is. I did find that the company seems to be a Vietnamese company. There's very little information about them on their website. So I don't know who these artists are, but the artists that does this kawaii, chibi, cutesy stuff, yeah, keep making books because I'm definitely a fan. I'm going to keep buying them. And I can't wait to show you the Cute Stuff one when it gets in. I think it's 50 images. So I'm really, really excited for that one to come in. And as you can see, I am finishing up on this page with a little bit of pink gel pen to do the cheeks, because they've got like blush on their cheeks. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy what I've done with this page. The glitter didn't really show up too well here, but, you know, I tried to show it to you. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you enjoy.